Hi, Scott Orlin with CINEMA-Magazin. The new film is called Marriage Story, and the man responsible for it, the writer-director Noah Baumbach. Noah, it's fascinating because cinematically we've explored marriages. Why are they such fertile grounds to kind of keep coming back to and dissecting?
Well, I guess I found in sort of exploring the sort of narrative of a divorce, it gave me an opportunity to explore marriage as in a kind of bigger way. It's that sort of concept of like when something doesn't work for you, you actually suddenly see it for the time. You know, when a door doesn't open, you actually look at the door. You know, whereas if you don't, you just walk through. And I thought, well, when a marriage stops working, whatever that means, it's a way to open it up and look at what it is.
You've been quite candid that you unfortunately went through this experience. How much did you want to tap into that, or what kind of conversations did you want to have with your friends or people that you know to try and bring as much realism to this as possible?
I was a child of divorce. I've gone through divorces as an adult, but I wanted to explore it in a bigger, more expansive way. So I did research, talked to couples, men, women who have gone through this. I talked to lawyers, judges. As the story developed, too, I would go back and say, you know, okay, if to lawyers, like, what would you say if this was going, you know, so I really was able to sort of build this whole other thing.
And it's fascinating, too, watching this movie because you put two incredibly charismatic people, Adam Driver and Scarlett Johansson. And as the movie opens up, we really like both of them.
Yeah.
But then as this marriage starts to have complications, it's like, well, who do I side with? I mean, where emotionally do I go? As a guy, I have to admit, I became Team Charlie. I understood it. Mm-hmm. How did you, as a filmmaker, balance it? Because I know women I've talked to said, oh, no, I was Team Scarlett.
And I've even heard the other, where sometimes the men have gone with Nicole. I wanted it to be very even-handed, but I wanted the audience to have the experience you're describing, which is, in the beginning of the movie, you're a little bit more with her and you're hearing more of her story, so that's natural that we sort of might drift that way. And then Charlie sort of comes into the movie a little bit more, and then maybe that we start to drift a little bit more with him. And then by the last third, they're both in it together, that we've sort of naturally arrived at this place where we maybe have already gone back and forth a little bit to kind of discover that nobody's more right or more wrong than anybody else, and that, you know, in a funny way, it's all true and none of it's true, you know, and you know, they both, I believe, are deserving of our sympathy and our empathy.
What's kind of fascinating, too, is almost if I could think of like a boxing ring and each one goes into their corner.
Sure.
But their corners are New York and Los Angeles,
mm-hmm.
which definitely, for a lot of people, that's almost like a divorce. You're like, oh, I don't want New York, or I don't want Los Angeles.
Right.
Was that specific in your choices to have those two cities?
Well, I thought it was a way to also symbolize home and what is home, which I think comes up often in a breakup, you know, and particularly when you have a child, sort of this notion of home. You know, you see, you have Nicole's childhood home, you have their grown-up home, you have his temporary home that he puts plants in to make seem more like a home. So what is home? And I think, you know, they kind of have their cities, but the cities in a way could be anything, because I think what I wanted to sort of explore in the movie is how home is in some ways something that exists amongst the family, between Charlie, Nicole, Henry, that it's something else entirely.
But in your home, you and your wife both have major films coming out this year. What type of discussions happen there?
Are you free for dinner on Thursday? When can we see each other? No, it's exciting. It's an exciting time at the breakfast table.
Well, Noah, thank you for sharing Marriage Story, and this is Scott Orlin.
Thanks, Scott.